And to go deep into the repercussion of this Wednesday's demonstration and police brutality, we invite Pablo Malicia, independent journalist from Argentina. Hi, Pablo, and thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So, Pablo, the eyes of the world are upon Argentina today. From your perspective, what happened yesterday afternoon and why is it so serious?
Well, I have to tell you that I'm still shivering due to the things I had to witness yesterday. In my 35 years of experience attending almost every popular demonstration, I have never seen this level of despite for the human being, of violence, of hate by the federal forces. I was there yesterday afternoon. I was there from the very beginning of it. The demonstration was absolutely peaceful. People were doing nothing but singing their songs, claiming their rights, waving their flags, and that was the demonstration. But due to this experience I mentioned that I have in this type of demonstrations in Argentina, in a certain point, uh, I saw something that shocked me. I saw a police officer giving a, I don't know if he hit the lady with his fist or with a, a stick or what something, but I saw him knocking her out down. Literally, the lady fell on her back, and she got a major injury in the back of her head when she banged on the pavement. In that moment, I felt everything is about to begin, and sadly, I was right. The next step, when all the people was trying to help the old lady in the floor, I saw a very famous Argentinian doctor that he was a part of the demonstration himself, and he went to attend to this old lady and gave her first aids. In that moment, I saw another of the classical, typical signals that we already learned how to recognize. All the motorcycles, the police motorcycles, they formed in line as if they were the cavalry, in a Western movie, from side to side of the street, in a line, all the motorbikes side by side, and then they started um, accelerating the motorcycles, at the same time, at the same rhythm, all together. That was terrifying. And then they marched with all the motorcycles together as a wall, okay? And behind them, the big water uh, tanks. And so they started in that moment. They started shooting their water cannons to the people that was only singing. They singing and waving flags. Nothing. I saw not a single violent action started from the people that was demonstrating there. So in that moment, I started running from one part to the other. I found myself surrounded by two different parts of the police, for the federal forces, that they were doing some clipping force, to get all the people together in the middle of them all. So I handled to escape uh, from one side, and I got out of that situation. But I want to tell you something else. I also saw how a police officer, and I saw it in the also in the medias, okay? there is a shooting, an actual shooting of, yes, okay, there is a shooting, an actual shooting of that the police officer takes his own um, weapon, his gun from his belt, and he puts it in the floor. He leaves it. He abandons his own weapon on the floor. That, and then he leaves, and then all the police leave, and the gun stayed there in the grass, laying, waiting for someone to pick it up. I mean, these are also tricks that we already learned from Lady Minister of Security, Patricia Bullrich. They infiltrate the demonstrations, and they do these kind of things in order to make the worst to happen. Okay, so I will give you some other examples about this. Suddenly, and nobody knows where they came from, but big boxes that we use here in a build when they are building a building or they are modifying something, and they have all the stones left from the construction. Okay, they are putting in a big box that they lay on the street for a few days. Okay, well, this sort of stuff appeared full of stones, almost as an invitation for people to grab the stones and throw it to the police officers, and nobody knows who brought them there and why they put it there in that very moment. Some other thing, perhaps you saw some shootings of a police car on fire. Well, that very same car was shown previously by the people with their cell phones, and also by some of the medias that were transmitting live in that moment.
Paolo, precisely for our international audience, let's recall that, as you were mentioning, this is the most severe repression registered in decades, but especially since Milei took office. Why now? I would like you to explain why at this moment in which the administration is going through the international Libra Gate scandal, for example, and also amid an attempt of reaching a new deal with the IMF without the Congress consent.
The only explanation for this in this moment is that they were actually willing for this to happen because they wanted to show this alive to the world, especially to the IMF and to the imperialistic governments of the planet. They wanted to send them a message telling them that they are willing, they are ready, and they are going to continue with this economical adjustment, even if they have to stain their hands with blood. They do not care. They declared war to Argentinian people yesterday. Nothing like this has been seen before in Argentina. But actually, some of these manners to infiltrate the demonstrations and all the things I was telling you before, we saw this before once. Yeah, I was mentioning that there is no doubt that this was a clear message, a mobster message, but we could say, to the IMF and to the leaders of economical power throughout the world, that this government is ready to do anything that is required in order to give all the sovereignty and the natural resources of Argentina to the one who wants to keep it.
In this context, how can this violence affect Milei's national and international legitimacy, especially at this sensitive moment you are describing?
Well, I think that internationally, I think that the people to whom he was sending this message must be very happy. Perhaps I hope that different governments around the world, governments that support not only real democracy, this is not a democracy, this is a dictatorship, but all the people from around the planet that support democracy and human rights, well, I think they will raise their voices against everything that's going on in Argentina. But I don't think that will be any problem for this government. They just don't care. I mean, they are happy they have sent the right message to the people they wanted, and all the rest, they just don't care at all. Internally, well, I think that yesterday was a breaking point in Argentina and the relationship with this government. I think that Argentinian people is going to react much higher, and somehow I think that the government is also hoping that the people do that, because they are trying to build up again the two demons theory that was so popular during the last Argentinian military and civilian dictatorship. So they want to, in a way, to prove that there are some group of terrorists that are willing to throw down the government. But the point that they are forgetting is that those terrorists are 80 years old, and they are only asking for the government to stop killing them slowly, quietly. They are doing senior genocide in Argentina, and this is not by chance. This is all planned because they want to reduce the amount of retirement salaries that they have to pay. This is as raw as you can hear it. This is planned, and they are willing to continue in this way. But because, well, I think that Argentina once again is being some sort of testing balloon thrown by the people, the real powers of the planet, that they think, well, if Argentinian people, that they have a long tradition of popular resistance, if we can break them, we can break anyone in the planet. So everybody, listen, we Argentinians are a laboratory in which they are doing a final test to their plan of taking over the national governments. Okay, this is not something anymore about rights and left. Now this is the powers of the planet, the voucher funds that they declare the war against the people of the country, the population, and to the national states at the same time, because they think they don't need us anymore. They can throw us to the garbage, to the recycle bin. Well, Argentinian people is going to prove them that they are wrong.
Thank you. Thank you, Pablo, for your remarks in these days of outrage and sadness as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate so very much the opportunity to tell the world what's going on in Argentina. This is a dictatorship. They will not hesitate to have more and more casualties, and they want to prove that they can break the country in pieces and sell it for sale, and do the dirty work at the same time, and they will not care about the casualties or the poor people.
Thank you, Pablo, for your time here with us. We were speaking to Pablo Malicia, independent journalist, in the context of the police brutality suffered by demonstrators in Argentina on Wednesday.